Israeli politician Naftali Bennett, the guy who's supposed to be the opposition to Netanyahu, well, he was kind enough to let his pay pigs here in the United States know which war Israel's going to drag us into next. Because the propaganda against Turkey has begun. So pretty soon, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about how Turkey is, building dangerous weapons of mass destruction, and we must go in and attack them immediately. This is a disaster.
Hey, everybody. This is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So today we have to talk about what's going on with Israel and Turkey, because our greatest ally is once again finding itself in an extremely uncomfortable position. The reason for this is that our ally in peace, Israel, might have to go ahead and start another war, this time with Turkey. Now, for those of you keeping track, the wars that Israel has been forced to start are now in Gaza, the West Bank. They're taking that over too. Iran, Lebanon, they're stopping all of our ceasefire agreements. And now they're over here trying to start a conflict with Turkey, one of our NATO allies, by the way, who we actually have an obligation to protect under our NATO agreements. And I don't want to come out here and be one of these people saying that Israel is the aggressor just because they, go around and bully everybody around them and try to do land grabs and then break ceasefire agreements that we initiate and undermine us at every chance that they get and control our politics through spending money. Because, guys, Israel does a lot for us. Like, they let us pay for their country. They let us pay for their warfare. They drag us into all of their conflicts. They break our alliances with countries that we actually do have pretty good relationships with and actually have a positive economic impact on our country. They ruin all of that for us. But we do get the honor of actually doing everything for them and funding things like their military. Meanwhile, they get free health care, they get free child care, free daycare. They're pretty much running the socialist life over there in Israel, but they need us to go ahead and keep funding it and to keep fighting for them as they go around acting like a bunch of cry bullies. So let's go ahead and listen to Kasparian from the Young Turks talk a little bit more about what Israel is doing now.
And while Trump's administration says that they're not seeking an extension of this 2-week ceasefire, Erdogan says that Turkey will be pushing for the truce to last longer to ensure that peace negotiations can continue. So look, I am not a fan of the Turkish government, but you're telling me that the guy who wants the ceasefire to last longer so peace negotiations can continue is the real threat? Okay. So,
let's stop there because the ceasefire has been a bit of a failure, frankly, anyway. It's not like we've been actually reining Israel in. As we've tried to get a ceasefire, Trump has been backed into a corner and is realizing how chaotic this whole thing has been. And so he's been trying to get a ceasefire and then a peace deal. But Israel goes around and violates the ceasefire constantly to make sure that this will not work. And guys, don't get it twisted. Israel 100% is going to get us dragged back into this war because Trump is controlled by Israel and they want the war. So this is going to happen regardless of what Trump goes out and pretends he's doing. Just like the fake ceasefire that he did over in Lebanon and just like the fake peace agreements that he's been out pushing that were violated literally hours after he went out on public saying that this was now initiated.
Erdogan says the following, and he hasn't been holding back lately. The real question is he just paying lip service to the people of Turkey who are furious over Israel's shenanigans lately, or does he actually mean it? Because here's what he says. If there is to be peace in our region, it will be despite the Zionist regime. If stability is achieved, it will again be despite the Israeli government. And I actually agree with him on that.
Well, yeah, of course you agree with him on it. That's super obvious. One thing that we might do actually in order to make sure that we had peace and stability in the region would be to get rid of Israel. I think we just need to call it a loss, say, hey, I know that we paid for you for decades. I know that we've gone out here and established you as a country, but Israel has been an absolute failure since you've been there. Wars in the Middle East have actually gotten way worse. They're way more common, and you guys are the aggressors. So we wouldn't even have to do anything, guys. We wouldn't have to go to war with them. We wouldn't have to do anything horrible like that. We could just stop paying for them. We could just stop rushing to their aid every time they go out and attack a country and then another country retaliates against them. We could just say, you know what? You're on your own. You're a small country, about 9 million people that have been going around picking on people way bigger and way more powerful than you. America does not have a vested interest in your well-being because you are not an economic benefit to the United States. You've done nothing for us. And even though you're supposedly our greatest ally, we don't get anything from you. And when you start going against countries like Turkey that we actually do have economic ties with, as well as a literal NATO obligation that we have set up to protect one another, yeah, we don't need to take Israel seriously. We should just stop funding them completely and just kind of sit back and see what happens. If they make it, it's fine. And if they don't, even better.
And that's when things got even spicier. Okay. So Turkey's foreign ministry described Benjamin Netanyahu as the Hitler of our time. True, true. Responding to a post on X by Israel's prime minister accusing Erdogan of cooperating with Iran and massacring the Kurdish people.
All right, so I think this is a little bit unfair because comparing Bibi Netanyahu to Hitler does feel a touch ridiculous because Hitler fought most of his own wars and then had allies that he supported throughout them. Whereas with Israel and Bibi Netanyahu, they just call up their puppets in the United States like Trump, and then we just go fight the wars for them. So I think it's completely unfair. I understand where the idea comes from because obviously Israel is out starting wars with tons of countries around them and trying to instigate a world war. And they're also, doing ethnic cleansing and genocide. But to say that they have, the bravery of Germany in World War II and that they're not just using everybody around them as puppets is completely absurd because they are 100% reliant on the United States.
So in response to that, the Jerusalem Post puts this piece out saying that Turkish President Erdogan on Sunday accused Israel of carrying out atrocities against Palestine and Lebanon and threatened potential military action against the Jewish state, similar to its past interventions in Karabakh and Libya.
I mean, that's just a matter of fact. We're not really arguing whether or not Israel had committed atrocities against Palestine and Lebanon, are we? I mean, they're literally doing it right now. We've been watching them do this for years at this point. So when they're saying this, I don't really understand what their problem is other than it's saying, yeah, we've done this, but you still shouldn't be allowed to attack us. I mean, it's not like we were actually, hurting real people or anything. These folks that we were attacking don't even count. It's a mulligan. That's what they're saying because we've all been watching what Israel's done for years now, and they 100% do instigate all of these fights. And then when anybody retaliates against them, they run to the U.S. And then because we work for Israel, we come in and bail them out of all of the problems that they started for themselves, when what we should do is just let them fail on their own.
Israel has a problem with Sunni Muslims like Palestinians, Shia Muslims like the Iranians. I mean, they seem to have problems with Christians too, because they be bombing churches left and right. There's no question about that. How many Christians have been killed in Lebanon as a result of Israeli aggression?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't like to go around and accuse Israel of ever doing anything against another person. If they do something, it was an accident. They just accidentally bomb all of the churches and all of the hospitals and all of the schools for girls. And they accidentally do it a couple times, which is why they do double taps. But it's always an accident, and I don't want anyone to think that just because Israel is out here starting a bunch of wars and committing war crimes, that somehow means they are not the most moral army in the world, while they bring us to the cusp of World War III, because they certainly are. So there we go, guys. The uncomfortable truth here is that Anna's probably right, because we are going to see that Israel, now that they're upset with Turkey, they're going to just keep ramping up the propaganda war. And our politicians and the people in the United States, a lot of them are going to fall for it because we do Israel's bidding. They have been elected on behalf of AIPAC to go out and make sure that what Israel wants, Israel gets. And if that means that we're going to actually ruin a relationship with one of our literal allies in order to make sure that Israel is able to keep doing what it's been doing, which is absolute warmongering, then that's what we're going to do. Because the only reason that we're functioning as a government right now is to take care of Israel. And that's the uncomfortable truth, guys. So Go ahead, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and share the uncomfortable truths, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.